There is a truth so powerful, so raw, that once you see it, really see it, you'll never be the same again. You become what you think about, all day long. Not what you wish for, not what you hope for, not what you casually daydream about when the world slows down. What you obsessively think about, what you dwell on, what you breathe, what you carry in your chest when the world is asleep, that's what shapes you. That's what creates your reality. You are not your circumstances. You are not your history. You are not your failures. You are the product of your dominant thoughts. The ones that play on loop when no one's watching. The ones that you entertain in silence. The ones you feed, moment after moment, hour after hour. Your mind is not a passive machine. It is a projector. And whatever film you load into it, it will play out, scene by scene, on the screen of your life. Everything you see around you was once a thought. The chair you're sitting in, the screen you're watching, the building you're in, the words you're hearing right now. All of it, every ounce of it, began in someone's mind. So the question is this: what have you been thinking about lately? What do you feed your mind with when no one's around? Because that is what you're becoming. If your dominant thoughts are filled with doubt, worry, envy, anger, and fear, you're planting seeds of destruction in the most fertile soil in the universe. But if your dominant thoughts are aligned with vision, with power, with purpose, with abundance, with gratitude, then your future is already changing. That's not philosophy. That's law. The law of mind. And the greatest minds of all time knew it. Earl Nightingale once said, "You become what you think about." Bob Proctor made that his life's message. But long before them, Marcus Aurelius ruled the greatest empire on earth with that same truth etched into his soul. A man's life is what his thoughts make of it. Thomas Edison, who failed over 1,000 times trying to invent the electric light, never once thought about failure. He was too consumed by vision, too obsessed with possibility. He knew what he was thinking about, and it wasn't defeat. Henry Ford was laughed out of boardrooms, told his horseless carriage would never work. He was mocked, humiliated, and betrayed. But Ford didn't think about his critics. He didn't think about limitations. He thought about motion, movement, momentum, and he changed the world. You see, the ones who changed history never let outside noise become inside truth. They protected their minds like a warrior guards the gates to his city. They refused to let toxic thoughts take root, because they understood. Thoughts become beliefs. Beliefs become behavior. And behavior becomes results. So, if you want to change your life, don't change. Clarity and vision. Clarity is not a gift, it's a decision. It's the decision to choose your thoughts deliberately, with intent, with courage. Most people walk around with mental static, thoughts scattered, reactive, filled with the chaos of the day. News cycles, social media, comparison, gossip, doubt. They think they're thinking, but in reality, they're being thought by everything around them. Clarity is rebellion. It's declaring to the universe, I will not be a mental vagabond. I will think thoughts on purpose. I will speak life into my vision. That's what Bob Proctor taught. That's what made him different. He didn't just hope to change. He programmed himself for it, through repetition, through visualization, through writing his goals down so many times they became part of his nervous system. He didn't leave his success to luck or chance. He planted his vision into his mind like a farmer plants seeds, and then he watered those seeds with faith, emotion, and repetition every single day. You want a new life? You want a new identity? Then it starts with one question. What do I want to think about all day long? Not what am I allowed to think, not what will people think if I say it out loud, not what sounds reasonable. What do I want to think about? Because I know it will become my life. Burn the image into your mind. See the version of you that already exists, confident, wealthy, healthy, grateful, powerful, full of love, living on purpose. That version is real. It's not a fantasy. It's a frequency. And the only way to live it is to match it in your mind, long before you see it in your bank account, in your relationships, or in your mirror. Thoughts are not harmless. They are not just passing clouds in a calm sky. They are commands to your subconscious, and your subconscious is listening. Always. It doesn't care if what you're thinking is true or false, right or wrong, beautiful or ugly. It accepts everything you feed it. Your mind is the most obedient servant in the world. But most people treat it like a garbage bin instead of a sacred temple. And so, they wonder why they feel heavy, why nothing changes, why every breakthrough feels temporary, and every setback feels permanent. But listen to me. Your life will begin to transform the moment you become mentally disciplined. Discipline is not just about waking up early or hitting the gym. It's about catching your thoughts before they spiral. It's about noticing the moment your mind starts slipping into fear and snapping it back into focus like a general commanding a battalion. You are not your thoughts, but you are responsible for them. You wouldn't let someone walk into your home and trash your living room. So why do you let negative, petty, and defeated thoughts walk into your mind and take over? Because no one taught you the power of mental sovereignty. Because the world normalized chaos. But the greats didn't think like the world. They were laser-focused. They trained their minds like elite athletes train their bodies. They repeated affirmations not because it was cute or trendy, but because repetition rewires the internal script. Bob Proctor knew that. He said, "Your outside world is a reflection of your inside world. If you want the mirror to change, you don't argue with the reflection. You change what's standing in front of it." That means taking control. It means writing your goals every day like your life depends on it, because it does. It means acting like the person you want to become, not when it's convenient, but when it's hardest. It means asking over and over again, what am I thinking about? What am I giving my energy to? What identity am I reinforcing right now through this thought? Because whether you realize it or not, you are always building something. The question is, are you building a life you want or one you'll regret? Imagination is not child's play. It's not daydreaming. It is the most powerful force you own. Walt Disney imagined Disneyland when he was broke, sleeping on a bench. Nikola Tesla imagined inventions decades before the technology existed to build them. And Bob Proctor imagined himself on stages, changing lives, long before anyone knew his name. Your imagination is a blueprint, and whatever image you hold, consistently and emotionally, will begin to shape the particles of your reality. We've been taught to live by what we see, to trust only what's physical, measurable, logical. But the truth is, what you see is just the end result. It's the echo. The cause, the real power, lies in the unseen, in the mental image, in the vision. So let me ask you something no one else is asking you right now. What do you see when you close your eyes? Do you see a powerful, fulfilled version of you? Or do you see a prisoner of doubt? Do you see a future dripping with opportunity and abundance, or a gray fog of fear and scarcity? Whatever you see, you are creating, and your subconscious will fight like hell to turn that image into fact. It doesn't need permission. It only needs direction. You see, the mind doesn't know the difference between what's imagined and what's real. That's why athletes visualize success before stepping onto the field. That's why Olympians rehearse victory in their heads over and over until their bodies have no choice but to obey. If you can see it in your mind, if you can feel it in your heart, you can hold it in your hand. But you must protect the image. You can't let it fade. You can't let it be drowned by noise. You must guard it like treasure, because it is treasure. Every time you imagine a greater future, you're reaching into the formless and pulling something into form. And that's not magic. That's creation. That's alignment. That's what separates those who live life by design from those who live it by default. So don't just hope for a better future. Don't just casually daydream about success. Design it. Feel it. Think about it all day long, because what you think about all day long is exactly who you are becoming. You can think the right thoughts. You can visualize the perfect future. But until you believe it, until you feel it with every cell in your body, it will not manifest. This isn't about surface-level optimism. This is about vibration. Everything in this universe vibrates. Your body, your words, your thoughts, your emotions. And when you combine a clear image with a burning emotion, you unlock the frequency of that reality. Bob Proctor said it best. Faith and fear both demand you believe in something you cannot see. You choose. And most people choose fear. Not because they want to, but because they've practiced it. They've been conditioned to believe in what could go wrong rather than what could go right. They feed their faith to fear and wonder why nothing grows. But the ones who rise, the ones who shatter the ceiling, are those who choose to believe in their vision, even when their senses scream otherwise. They believe before they have the evidence. They walk by faith, not by sight. They move like it's already done, because in their mind, it is. When you think about something all day long, when you see it, feel it, live it in your imagination, your body starts to act in alignment with that future. Your voice changes, your posture changes, your decisions change, and suddenly, doors start to open. People begin to show up. Opportunities begin to align. Not because the world is changing, but because you did. The universe responds to certainty. It bends to conviction. It moves for the person who has already decided they will not leave this earth with their music still inside them. So if you want that dream, if you want that freedom, if you want that abundance, that peace, that power, that purpose, don't just think it, feel it, claim it, own it, live in that energy. Because when the inside is aligned, the outside must follow. That's not a motivational quote. That's universal law. But let me be clear. No amount of thinking, no amount of feeling will matter if you do not act. This is where most people lose the game. They get inspired, they get clear, they feel the fire rise inside them, but they never move. They wait for the perfect moment, for validation, for some cosmic sign that says, now it's safe to begin. Let me tell you something that will shatter that lie. It's never going to feel safe. It's never going to be perfect. You will never be ready in the way you're hoping for. But you must act anyway. Success does not wait for certainty. It responds to decision. Action is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. It is the test of belief. Because if you truly believed your dream was real, you would be moving toward it every single day. Tiny steps, massive strides, doesn't matter. Movement is the proof of faith. You don't get to think your way into greatness. You must act your way there. Bob Proctor didn't read one book and sit back. He devoured knowledge. He studied it. He applied it. He lived it. He taught it not because he was trying to impress the world, but because it became the very fiber of who he was. Every day is your test, and every action is a vote for the person you are becoming. So ask yourself right now, are my actions aligned with the future I say I want? Because if they're not, then you're not being honest with yourself, and your life will reflect that dishonesty. You become what you think about, but only when your thoughts are backed by relentless action. Action makes it real. Action tells the universe, I'm serious, I'm here, I'm coming for what's mine. You don't need permission. You don't need to be qualified. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to begin. Right where you are, with what you have. With who you are right now. Because the person who acts grows. The person who moves evolves. And the person who commits always finds a way. Gratitude. Not as a polite gesture, not as a checkbox in your morning routine, but as a force, a frequency, a weapon against fear. Gratitude is not passive. It is active recognition of abundance. Even when your bank account is empty, even when the path is foggy, even when your heart is heavy. Because gratitude does not require proof. It creates it. When you are grateful, truly grateful, you shift your awareness from what's lacking to what's possible, from what's missing to what's already here. And in that shift, you become magnetic. You stop repelling opportunity with thoughts of scarcity. You stop rejecting blessings by focusing on what isn't working. You open yourself up, vibrationally, spiritually, mentally, to receive. Bob Proctor knew this. He said, "Gratitude hooks you up to your source of supply. It plugs you in. It gets your internal circuitry aligned with power, with abundance, with life itself." The most powerful people on earth are not the ones who have the most. They are the ones who see the most. They see miracles in silence. They see progress in the mess. They give thanks not when everything's perfect, but when they're still in the middle of the climb. Because they know that the energy of gratitude becomes the foundation of faith. You don't wait for your dream to come true before you're grateful. You become grateful. And that gratitude transforms your energy so completely, the dream has no choice but to respond. So ask yourself, what are you thankful for right now? Not what should you be, what are you in this moment? What do you already have that you once begged for? Hold that feeling. Amplify it. Wrap your next thought in it. Wrap your vision in it. Because gratitude is the accelerator. It will take what you're thinking about all day long and multiply it with meaning, with emotion, with depth. And the universe doesn't respond to your words. It responds to your state. You will be tested. Let me say that again. You will be tested. Life is not waiting to roll out a red carpet because you wrote down your vision and posted a quote on Instagram. Life wants to know, how bad do you want it? Life wants to see, will you hold the thought when everything around you contradicts it? Because that's the difference. That's the dividing line between dreamers and doers, between the majority and the greats. Resilience is not about avoiding pain. It's about holding your frequency through it. When the bank account drops, when the people you love stop believing in you, when the dream feels so far away you can barely see the outline anymore, what will you think about then? That's the test. That's the moment when most people give up and start calling it reality. But the ones who rise, the ones who become their vision, they hold the thought anyway. They think about it not because it's easy, but because it's who they are now. Lincoln held it through depression. Disney held it through bankruptcy. Edison held it through thousands of failures. Carnegie held it when everyone called him crazy. And Bob Proctor, he held it through rejection, through confusion, through decades of study. They weren't made of different material. They were made of the same as you. But they used their mind like a blade, sharpened by repetition, honed by pain, forged in vision. They didn't allow failure to speak louder than their thoughts. They didn't let defeat drown the image they saw inside. They chose what to think about all day long. And when the world came to test them, they didn't flinch. They endured. Not because they were invincible, but because they had already decided there is no going back. So if you're in the dark right now, if it feels like the world forgot your name, if the weight is getting heavy and the answers feel far, good. That means you're close, because right before the dawn is when the night fights the hardest. So breathe, stand tall, and hold the thought. Even if your voice shakes, even if your legs tremble, hold the thought, because that thought is not just a wish, it's your weapon, it's your blueprint, it's your lifeline to a future the world hasn't seen yet. You were never meant to stay the same. Everything in nature evolves. The seed cracks open to become a tree. The caterpillar dissolves into chaos before it becomes a butterfly. The diamond is crushed under pressure. The phoenix burns before it soars. And yet you resist change because it's uncomfortable, because it's messy, because it forces you to let go of who you were, to make room for who you're becoming. But hear this. You can't hold the old version of yourself and still reach for the new one. The thoughts that built your current life are not strong enough to build your next one. You must evolve. You must adapt. You must be willing to let the fire burn away what no longer serves. Old beliefs, old habits, old stories about who you are and what you're worth. Because the truth is, you've outgrown the cage, and the only thing keeping you inside is your thinking. Bob Proctor taught that your mind is like a thermostat. It's been programmed to keep you at a certain temperature of success, of love, of health, of self-worth. The moment you go beyond that, self-sabotage kicks in, because the internal setting hasn't changed. But here's the beauty. You can reprogram it. You can rewire your self-image. You can raise the setting. You can expand your identity to match the life you were always meant to live. But it starts with thinking new thoughts. Daily, deliberately, repeatedly. You don't just think your way into a new life once. You do it over and over and over again until your nervous system believes it's true. You think like the person who already has the result. You speak like them. You act like them. You feel like them. You show up like them. Before the world claps, before the proof arrives, because your results will never rise higher than your identity. You must become the cause, not the effect. You must lead the change. Be the change. Think the change. Because thought is the first domino. And once it falls, everything else follows. The moment you stop learning is the moment you start dying. Not physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Bob Proctor was in his 80s, still studying, still growing, still evolving. He knew that stagnation is not safety, it's slow death. And in today's world, where change happens at lightning speed, if you're not growing, you're shrinking. If you're not moving forward, you're falling behind. But here's the paradox. True growth doesn't come from adding more. It comes from unlearning. Unlearning the lies, the conditioning, the limitations you accepted from a world that forgot how powerful the human mind really is. You've been trained to think small, to play it safe, to follow rules written by people who stopped dreaming long ago. And if you don't wake up, you'll spend your entire life living someone else's blueprint, chasing goals that never belonged to you. But not you, not anymore. You're here because something inside you is stirring, a whisper becoming a roar, telling you that there is more power, more freedom, more purpose, more life. And that more is not found outside. It's not in a book. It's not in a video. It's not in a guru or a hack or a course. It's already inside you. But it's buried beneath layers of mental dust. Your job is to dig, to awaken it, to trust it, to feed it with thought, to water it with vision, to shine light on it through daily action. Because that's how reinvention works. It's not an explosion. It's not a lightning bolt. It's a quiet, powerful shift that begins the moment you decide, I'm done thinking like who I was. I'm ready to think like who I'm becoming. Right now, in this very moment, you are standing at the edge of a decision. Not a casual choice, not another fleeting spark of inspiration, but a deep, soul-level crossroads. To either keep thinking the way you've always thought, or to become the architect of a life so aligned, so awakened, so powerful that even your past would bow before it. This is where everything changes. Not tomorrow, not when it's easy. Now. Because this isn't about motivation anymore. This is about identity, about who you're choosing to be, moment by moment, thought by thought, breath by breath. What are you going to think about when the noise creeps in again, when fear whispers, when doubt knocks, when failure laughs? What will you do then? Will you surrender the thought? Or will you hold it like a flame in the wind, fragile, flickering, but alive? Will you protect it? Will you nurture it? Will you fuel it with the fire of decision so strong that the universe has no choice but to rearrange itself around your vision? That's what it means to become, to burn the old, to break the pattern, to rise with new eyes, new thoughts, new standards. This is not about thinking positive. This is about thinking with power, thinking with intention, thinking with the full force of your spirit behind every thought, as if your life depended on it. Because it does. You don't get to have two minds, one for fear, one for faith. You must choose, and once you choose, you must commit. You must become the kind of person who holds their vision even when the storm hits, especially when the storm hits, because storms don't destroy the strong, they reveal them. You are not here to survive, you are here to thrive. You are not here to wish, you are here to create. You are not made to follow the program, you were made to reprogram this world through your thoughts, your actions, your being. You are more powerful than you've ever been told. You are the thinker of the thought, the writer of the code, the shaper of the pattern, the one who decides what this life will become. So decide, right now, what are you going to think about all day long? What vision are you going to carry through the battlefield of your day? Through the doubts, through the failures, through the moments when it would be easier to quit. Because that thought, that image, that inner narrative will become the blueprint of your destiny. You become what you think about all day long. So think power, think faith, think legacy, think like the version of you that's already living it. Then move, act, build, repeat. Let it become your heartbeat. Let it become your rhythm. Let it become your life. Because in the end, the world doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you expect. So think bigger, think bolder. Think like someone who finally remembered who they really are. You are the one. You are the spark. You are the signal. You are the shift. You are the thought. And that thought, when owned, believed, and lived, will become your world. So, what are you thinking about right now? Because that is exactly who you're becoming.